All right, welcome to the Yeshua is King Ministries. This is going to be a testimony of Sarah Faith, and she's going to tell you a little bit about what happened to her, just like every other testimony, and how she met Yeshua and how she came to meet him. So you're going to hear some details that may be disturbing to people, may not, as as to what happens. But this is you're going to hear truth, and that's the main thing. So Sarah, go
Hello.
right ahead. Go
Uh,
ahead.
hello. My name is Sarah Faith. Um, so gosh, it's been about what, 5 years? 5 years since meeting Yeshua. Um, growing before meeting him, I guess I'll just start with like what led to needing Yeshua so bad. Um, I had a very rough childhood, and I know a lot of people have. A lot of people have pain growing up. I grew up with a single mother, moved every year of my life living with her. She had boyfriends in and out, complete whore. Um, and there was a lot of sexual abuse. Um, Going to my teenage years, there was a lot of drug abuse. I started experimenting on many different drugs. Um, because of the sexual abuse early on, I was groomed, so I didn't really know boundaries. So that led to, like a teenage pregnancy. Um, I I guess let's see, there's a relationship after that, and ended up leading to a relationship with an alcoholic. And that was about 12 years standing. He was in and out of jail. A lot of physical abuse, a lot of mental abuse, a lot of partying. I was partly contributing to that because of the drug abuse as a teenager. I was a little bit drawn to the drug part of that. Um, it was about 2019, I guess, right before the COVID stuff happened. I started really looking for Yeshua. I was really desperate to get out of the cycles of abuse, drinking, partying. Um, the
Was it Yeshua specifically or just something?
um Actually him. So in a really dark moment in my life, um the ex, he got out of jail and went straight back to drinking. And um there was a girl that I met, and she kind of pulled me into a Baptist church. And slowly, like over a couple of years, I started going there, and then I ended up serving as a youth leader for like 5 years. And also was a part of a homeschool group. And so I got to know, the modern day um Jesus, and memorized scripture, studied scripture, all that. And I didn't see the freedom that was spoken of in the scriptures. And so I started looking for him deeper, like internally, and looking for that healing that's promised in knowing him. And I guess that reassurance of salvation with having the constant like craziness at home. And I mean, anyone who's with an alcoholic knows how bad that is. I mean, James, you were talking about the dry
I'm
alcoholic.
like, yeah, you have a dry alcoholic, then you'll have this kind of alcoholic or that one. It's all very cold. There's no feeling in the house. In other words, when they're sleeping it off, it's they're everybody is isolated.
Oh yeah, a lot of isolation.
Yeah, very isolated and then they get up and first thing they do is go right over to the booze because they don't care. That's their relationship and that's their buddy.
Yeah,
So, and then hey, let's party and then they start getting half drunk. And that's okay. So they spend half the time lit,
yeah.
having no idea what they're doing, talking about. So that's one of the main things that people have issues with is they cannot have a relationship with anyone other than booze, beer, liquor, whatever, whatever their choice is. So, especially if you have a violent one.
Yeah. Then you add on porn addiction, which, most everyone nowadays is addicted to porn. There's an aggression there with porn addiction and alcohol. So you got the two together. That's a very hostile situation.
When you get to it, remind me of that story about him sitting next to Yeshua and
Oh
like,
yeah.
okay, we'll get into
Later
that.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so anyways, that was going on. I about snapped because I'm like, I don't want to live anymore. I can't live in this. I don't see a way out. Um, this is meanwhile I'm still serving in the church, but I started really looking for him. I was looking on YouTube videos, like just find me like I was just diving into truth. Um, eventually, so we ended up selling the house we were living in and moved out to this mountain. It was a retreat center over in Washington by Mount St. Helens, and he was like the groundskeeper and I'd clean after the retreats. That isolation really helped me in looking for him because there's just like nothing out there. So I was able to really focus in on that, but it also revealed who I was with. He couldn't stand not being able to go to people and just like get wasted. Like it was an outlet for him to just, I'm out of here, and cause a fight and leave. And that was probably like an every other day or at least twice a week thing, regardless of the image he would put on at the church. Um, then of course I reached out to the church for help regarding, the situation there, but it's always just like, oh, deal with it, the Lord will deal with him in time. It's like, okay, well, how much abuse do you take until a person snaps? And I think everyone would get to that point where they're just like, no, I'm done. Um, so we're living in this mountainside and there's a huge like division being had between me and him. And as I got closer to looking for Yeshua and going that direction, the further away I was from where he was going, the direction he wanted to go. And it was naturally, it wasn't like, I'm leaving you or anything like that. It just happens completely naturally. Like when you decide to stop smoking or drinking, you can't really be around people who drink or smoke. You have nothing in common with them. And what they do when they're doing that is not appealing anymore. You don't desire that mindset. So naturally it's like there was a division. Well, when I came across the United States of America and like American nationals and stuff, I started listening to some of the Q&As and started hearing truth about the deceptions in the US even and how lost people are there. And eventually was introduced to the book Dark Light and went 10 pages in and I fell to my knees, bawling. I'm like, I am not saved. And I want so badly to be saved. And I want to know you, Yeshua, Father. I want to know you so bad and I want to be clean. I'm not clean and I'm wicked. And I just began every day um submitting myself to them and just surrendering all of my wars with them and my rebellion and um looking at all the things that are wicked and not in like self-judgment, just as in what the word said is wicked. That's all I could go off of is you said this is wicked and here I've done this and I just show them everything I've done like a film. I played it in my head and presented it to them. I've done this, I acknowledge this, and I deserve to be condemned.
To who?
To the Father and Yeshua, sorry. This
Set
was,
apart spirit.
yeah, this was completely internal by myself. There's no one around. I'm up on this mountain, in a manufactured home.
This is the one thing, if you don't mind me.
Sure.
Okay.
This is hard to remember everything. I'm
Yeah,
like
I know, I know.
really straining.
What happens is that people are raised in the churches, and the churches are giving false images of Yeshua. I had this image in my head that Yeshua was a hippie on the beach.
A lot of people, but
Yeah, and then he just forgives and loves you, for whatever you do. Okay. And we've heard people that'll sit there and just continually sin over and over. We'll get back to her story in a second. Over and over, and then you tell them, "Hey, look, you got to repent." And they'll come back and, well, Jesus loves me. He's going to forgive me for everything I do here. So I'm just going to have a lot of fun. So my thinking is, okay, so he even suffered for all these things and all your sins. So you can just go have fun.
Or you're a Catholic, so
Or you're
you don't.
Catholic.
You hear that a lot in the street. Well, I'm a Catholic, so I
Yeah.
don't have to do anything.
I don't have to do anything because that's what the Pope told me. Um, so that's just a false image of that. And you went from the same thing I did, absolutely the same thing. I read into this, to dark light and realized, oh my God, man, I am not saved. I am not saved. And it was true. It was facts and true. And I saw a whole different side of Yeshua. He is a true leader, but go ahead.
The Bible's true.
Yeah.
Everything the Bible says is 100% true, but for some reason the churches read it and explain it in a way that you can't have a personal relationship with him, or there's a block put there. And I kind of think maybe that's there intentionally so that those certain people don't sneak into heaven for the wrong reasons. This is a very internal, genuine seeking, and it's only revealed to those that are genuine in having a relationship with him and reconciling with their Father. 100%. So I'm going down that, and I think this is like a 6 month long period of me just like face down bawling every day, all day, day and night. Like I'm just in inner just weeping. I can't stand it anymore. I can't stand this world. Um, please take me out of this world. A point of like I want to die, not suicidal, but just I don't want it. I do not want this world. Hands up. About 6 months into that, um, I was in my closet, in my inner closet as well. So it was a double closet.
We're saying real closet, folks, here. This is real closet.
There's a real closet
The
that don't.
clothes were in there.
Well, actually, so I was in my bedroom, the door shut. The kids are in the living room, and then I go in my closet, shut that door, and then I go in a spiritual closet. So I had like all this protection, so I can just open up everything that's in my inner heart that's wicked. And I'm just there bawling, like face down, laying down, which was a very common like face down. Um, and there's a light that comes in through the door, and I notice it, and I'm like, okay, and I'm drawn towards it. So I'm led to the window and the light is farther in the distance. And this house I was living at was up on the hill with the view of Mount St. Helens, and there's this slope that goes down into this valley that has a river. And it's like a 30-minute hike with a pretty steep slope. But I'm led to go over to that point where I can see down the slope and then led to go further. And I'm like, okay, I feel this is right with all of my inner heart. Like I could just feel everything. You need to follow this. And I'm like, yes. I walk out the door barefoot and I start hiking down like as though my life depends on it. And I'm pulled. It's like you're getting pulled, almost like there's a tugging on your being. Never in my life come across that. And I get down into the river and I fall to my knees and I'm told to get into the river and immerse myself. And I'm like, okay. I get into the river and I completely immerse myself, come up, and then I say the Lord's Prayer. I move to say the Lord's Prayer. And he's like, go and sin no more. And I'm like, yes, of course. And I stand up and I start hiking back. And he starts, and I'm revealed that this is Yeshua at this point. And he starts teaching me. And as I'm walking up, I'm going slower than the way down because I'm like, wow, this is amazing. My eyes have been open and I can see him. He's like revealing himself to me as I hike up this back up this mountain, which is like it's a good 30-minute hike, I guess, at a steady pace. So I'm hiking along and I end up running into some thorns. And he says to me, he's like, this path is going to be really hard and you're going to run into snares, but I will lead you out of them. And so I back up and I turn a little bit to the left and I keep going and I'm like, okay, I still want to follow you. And so I keep going. I come across like this tiny little mushroom and there's tons of mushrooms in Washington. You know which ones are good, which ones are bad. So it's not that kind of mushroom for any of those that are like, she's doing,
Doing mushroom.
psychedelic mushrooms, which I did get at one time, and I'm like, okay, well, whatever. Anyways, he's like, take a bite of it. And so I took like the tiniest little bite. And he's like, look at it. And I look at it and it's covered in little worms. And I'm like, ugh. I spit it out. And he's like, pick it back up. I pick it up and there's nothing there. And I'm like, okay, well, what was that? How is it there and then not? And he's like, this is the world. There's going to be so many deceptions, but I will reveal to you the truth. And I'm like, yes, awesome. I keep going. And I'm getting tired because I just went down a mountain, went into a cold river and then hiking back up. And there's this tree that's kind of shaped like a chair. It's leaning like sideways and then grew upward. And he's like, take a rest. And I'm like, thank you. Uh, would gladly. And I sit down and relax. And he's like, when you get tired, I will give you rest. Um, he keeps reminding me though that this journey is going to be really hard. This journey of following him. And he's putting this in my being. Like this is what it's going to be like to follow me. Um, I I rest and so I keep going up the mountain and there's this little like creek that goes down the mountain and so he's like take a drink and I cut my hands and drink and he's like when you're thirsty I will give you water and I thank him um and I look to the right and there's this like patch of I forgot what it's called but it's like I think it's called morel. It's a green, kind of looks like clover, but it's completely edible. I didn't know. I looked it up afterwards. And he said, go ahead and eat that. And he's like, I will provide you with food. I will sustain you. And so I ate some and it was sweet. It was like the sweetest from anything from nature I think I've ever had. Um, I kept going and actually I had an assembly. Well, no, sorry. I'm going back because I haven't really gone over this in a while. I sat there for a second and I just I looked at I looked at him. And what I saw was he's like this beautiful density of love. And he was standing like right behind me, but very tall, like I mean 15, 20 feet high. You can't really even put his presence into so much as a being, like his real um what he really is and what he's made out of is and his attributes are hard to even interpret into a being as a man. Like I think that kind of almost he's not belittling, but what would you say that he's lowering himself so that we can see him as a man. But what he is naturally in his state is a lot more than that. Um, and I could feel him there, and I could feel him talking to my being in my ears. I could hear him. I could hear his voice clearly. I could see him in my mind's eyes, and it was like everything was opened. Um, so after that, he instructed me to go back, and I just kept my eye on him, even though I was going back, but he slowly kind of walked away. I get back and I actually ended up sharing the testimony with you. There was a meeting we had, so you were like the first one that heard the witness. There's 4 or 5 other people on the call. Um, and you had just gone through that, I think 6 months prior, where you'd met Yeshua. So I was like
Yeah.
following you 6 months after I was like your tail. Um, and 3 days later, he shows up and he pours this energy into my head. And it goes all through my being. And it's like radiating out all my pores. And there's like people that are around me are feeling like this love and they're smiling. Um, and it wasn't until a little bit later that I realized he baptized me in the set apart spirit. And that in the river he baptized me in water because I had not been baptized prior. So in order for everything to be in line, he needed to first baptize me in water and then, he was able to baptize me in the spirit, which was such a gift. Being given anointed by the set apart spirit. You can't even thank him enough for that because with the set apart spirit in you, all of a sudden there's like your being makes sense and there's truth that you can start seeing truth and you don't feel so dead. all of a sudden you're alive.
Set apart spirits in every pore you have, every atom that is in existence, and it felt like an old sweater or an old jacket that you is like your old favorite jacket.
The inverted, it's like inside instead of
Yeah, yeah, but it's like you put something over you, and it's just like it's really warm. It smells
outside.
like you. But it can also, when it also has a bunch of history, the set apart spirit. So all the history of the set apart spirit, you begin to know. You're taught, so you don't have to.
And he reveals a lot of truth to you.
Oh man, yeah, it's really he's the best. He's the
Um,
best. He puts up with a lot of crap.
he really does. And most of the truth he starts out with is with you. The deceptions that you were placed under, and that boy, are there many. There are so many deceptions. You don't know who you are. And he begins to help you down that. He helps you down the narrow way. 100% you wouldn't make it without him. He's that light for the path.
It wouldn't.
Yeah. Um, but anyways, so it was the next day. It was man, all I could see was demons everywhere. I'm like, what is this? I thought I was losing it. And it turns out what happens when you're immersed in the set apart spirit is it's like a mirror placed in front of you, and you start seeing the wicked in you. And it's just everywhere. Like everywhere you look, there's this reflection of a demon. It's wicked. And so I went to
I remember when I first got that, it was
Gary.
yeah, because you start realizing, oh man, I've been here rebuking myself, and he would start laughing because it's like, oh, finally. Um, and you're getting what I'm trying to tell you here.
Yeah.
So
And so you go down a path of witnessing against yourself for whatever amount of time is needed. Mine was about 6 months. I think yours was even less. Forever, whatever amount of time is needed. It could be years for people, um, whatever is needed for the individual. But you keep witnessing against the evil that's being noticed, and basically the set apart spirit will shine a light on something that you hid in the corner. And he's like, you see that right there? And you can either fight him on it. Eventually, you're going to lose anyways. You've already lost. So if you want to get through it faster, which I
it's
wanted to
easier to face it.
acknowledge it, like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's really dirty. I am sorry. Like, I surrender that. I repent.
I don't want
I
that.
don't want that. Please remove that from my heart, mind, and being. And you just go through that, and it was every day, every day, every day for like 6 months. And
Actually, about 5 years, 5, 6 years, it happens slowly.
oh well, we still have it. I was leading up to when Yeshua took the I am out of me.
Right. Okay.
So it was about 6 months of that. It was a different kind of repentance because after the I am's removed, there's like it's a different um the way of repentance is different. It's almost like so when this
Okay. Can we qualify that first?
yeah,
Okay. All right. This is for the people that simply do not understand. When we say I am, we are not talking about our Father in heaven. We're not talking about removing our Father in heaven from our hearts. We're not talking about that. What we're talking about is this curse that was put in us all the way from Adam's time, and it's been passed on from one generation to the next. And when that happens, it's mocked. Um, who's that guy that those Dark Light, Stuart Best? He mocks it with calling it the great I am inside of you because it's a curse that the devil put in you. And what it does is it knows good and evil, and it judges all the time.
it plays God.
It
You
plays the
have a
Father.
God in you that you worship, and it's not the Father. That the Father left man when he sinned. He died. Man and woman died at when they sinned. When they disobeyed the Father, they died and were cast out of the garden. Because only anyways, they broke the rules. And you can't have a void. There's no voids. It's like there's something has to be there, so it was replaced with this curse that James is talking about, and a god was formed there. And so the whole narrow way is removing those images, those idols of God that we've
Of
made.
self worship.
It is all self-worship.
And the whole narrow way gets rid of that self-worship. It's completely gone.
You're not doing it, you're cooperating with them doing it. So the whole thing is that you begin to cooperate with the program instead of fighting the Father in your condemnation, which we have all been condemned. And that was one of my turning points when I fell on my knees is I acknowledged that I was condemned. I agree with you, Father. I agree with you.
Yeah, we deserve it. We deserve going to hell, you know? And you have to go through that and you have to face that's your immortality. You know, it's or your mortality. It's not immortality. But you have to face that that's what you are.
And when you do that, you start agreeing with truth. And it's like you're after that, there's more truth given to you, and then more and more. Um,
Blessed is the poor in spirit, for theirs is the reign of the heavens.
and it's the starting point.
Yeah, it's the beginning of being truthful. How do you start a relationship with somebody? You don't start out by lying to them. That those relationships never last, ever. So you can only put on your best jacket or your best coat for so long, and then after that, people are going to start seeing you for what you are, and that's it. So sorry, go ahead.
Um, so yeah, I was there was the baptism and the set apart spirit, and then that months of repentance. And during that time, I was sharing my experience with Yeshua and my growing relationship with him. Because I didn't just see him there, I started seeing him constantly, and he was helping me see these images of him I had created. Like, what do you remember that time I shared with you? It was like I created this image of him on a throne, and he just sat there. He never moved. It
I
was like
remember that one.
this
Yeah.
golden statue, and I was communicating with it, and um, until one day, it was like 2 or 3 weeks of trying to see. He's like, "What are what are you looking at? Why don't you?" This was you, James. Why don't you try looking, around him or behind him and see what's there? And I see, and it's a complete idol.
It's a
Like,
fake.
what in the world? And I look behind me, and I'm floating in the universe in some prison cube, like the black cube in Mecca. I'm like, what am I doing here? And I'm like,
Idol worship.
you're not Yeshua, and I'm so sorry. And I went and apologized to Yeshua for making an idol out of him, and I jumped right out of that cube because once you face the truth, there's doors that open and you can go through them. But there was a lot of that. There was a lot of covenants. And yeah, it was about 6 months. I'm really, there's so much that happened. I can't remember all the time frames, but he came and condemned me. The Father came and condemned me, and I was placed in like this black bowl in the universe, and the Father like straight up condemned me. I was all alone. It was like there's nothing there but me. And the loneliness there and the isolation, it was horrible. Um, but what was happening is he was pulling out the I am from me, and I died.
The curse. Yeah.
I completely died. And there was nothing. He condemned me. I died. I saw parts of hell. I wasn't revealed a lot of it because it still scared me a lot. Um, all I really saw was like a tunnel of all these arms, and they were after me. And then I was like placed in a cage with my name on it. Um, and that was like um part of that, yeah. And I agreed to it, and then Yeshua came and pulled me from that cage like as a separate person. It was weird. He like grabbed my hand and walked me away from that cage where I was looking at myself in the cage. And I'm like, that was the I am. The I am was condemned. So what he does is he splits you from the I am, from that God that was created in you, so that you can go and serve the real God, not that idol that's been created. And so that thing is still there burning in hell.
Yeah, you need to really get into detail with that because it's probably one of the most important parts
It's
of
still
this.
coming to me, so you can remind it, like being
Yeah.
remembered. I totally forgot some of this. So I'm just reliving it right now. We've gone through a lot.
Yeah. So the that I am is wicked. It's a chameleon.
It was so bad.
It makes you believe that it's you. You think that you actually believe these things, and it'll start getting you to believe that it's okay to smoke cigarettes or booze or porn or whatever it is. It makes you think that you want that. when actually it's just nothing more than a mental prison that it creates for you. It's going to hell.
No
That's
matter what. And you either go with it
or you don't.
or you don't. And you best separate from it. And the only one that can do that is Yeshua.
That's right. He's the only one with set apart spirit, obviously.
He
Um,
so
yeah, he sends him and he comes and gets it. But gets that I am out of you. And you can see it. I fought it for what, 3 weeks.
Oh yeah. It took yeah, it also me like I couldn't get past it. When the I am's in you, it's like there's this nonstop record playing in your mind. There's a battle, there's arguments, there's weird thoughts, there's wicked, it's like chaos. Like imagine being in a downtown whatever city protest and it's all these signs holding and rioting and
The protest never
it
stops.
never stops. That is what everybody lives in. They've just gotten used to it. And it's all it is rebellion and anarchy.
And that came from the devil. It was part of the devil's heart. So when Eve started listening to the devil and then Adam was pulled in, he was cursed
Both of them were.
with the tree of good and evil. And they became their own gods and they became their own judges. They were deciding what was right and wrong, all those things. And this is what needs to be removed from you. And here's another witness with Sarah. It's got to be removed. So this is what the narrow way is all about. Go ahead.
So during that time from the baptism to the death, I was sharing my testimony with people around me, with the church community and, family who I thought were family in the
And
house.
they embraced it very well.
Oh, I was talking to demons, you shouldn't do that kind of stuff, and you really don't need, that's probably a demon you're talking to. And I'm like, why would a demon lead me to healing, to healing and being free? Because Yeshua frees, he doesn't enslave. He frees you from chains you have, and there's no way that that's I don't even know how to explain it too much unless you experience it, but the people are really deceived and they're very lost. And people started rejecting me. They started pushing me away. All of a sudden, I was like this crazy person. And I'm like, you guys, it says it here in the Bible. Why don't you just at least believe the Bible? You guys are not believers. And I started realizing this more and more how much people are not believers. Most of the people are not believers. They're just there trying to make themselves look righteous. It's a whole bunch of just self-worship Sadducees and Pharisees. Look how great we are coming to church in our nice clothes. So anyways, yeah, people started pushing me away and I was getting more and more isolated, but it wasn't, like it was pushing me actually closer to Yeshua and the Father and the set apart spirit. So through that isolation from the world and the people, I was getting closer to them, to the oneness, to the set apart spirit, or to the three of them. And wow,
Your children were even taken from you.
yeah, I was the death came and then through all this there was a huge separation with the man I was living with and had children with, unfortunately. Not the unfortunate part with the kids, but with the man.
Okay, we had to go get our son. So if you're hearing little noises in the background, that's what he's eating and being little son. So
So yeah, so anyways, the man I was with for 12 years, there was children involved and whatnot. Miss those kids dearly. But what happens when you go to Yeshua is there's a division that happens. And it says it in Matthew that, he didn't he there's wars that will be created in houses, and in order to follow him, you have to give up everything you have. He puts it as sell everything you have. In that time, that would have made sense. Now it's you need to surrender everything. Your kids, whoever you're with, your spouse. Um,
that's why today's society and today's churches, that when you're isolated from your family and go to follow him and become one of his people, they qualified that as a cult. So people think, well, Yeshua is just a cult leader, and he's not. You have to become brand new. So you get a new name, you get a new everything. So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean it's Matthew 10:36. A person's enemies will be those of his own household. And it, I mean, two in the field, one's taken, one's left behind. It's over and over, two in bed, one's taken, one's left behind. It's showing you that not everyone is going to choose to follow him and go towards truth. But anyways, the Yeshua started showing me just how bad of a deception I was in, even being with that man. Like it turns out he was married still. So, like, you helped me go through all these legal documents to this qualifies for an annulment because basically we were quote unquote married in the courts, but not in a church. But he was already married. So since when are states allowing polygamy? I wasn't in Utah, you know.
I don't even think they allow it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So like, and anyways, eventually, this is even by his doing is he split up with me and left probably months before that even left the house and I was left in this house with kids and the terms of like staying at that house was that he would be the groundskeeper. So eventually, they asked me to leave the house and I was basically made homeless out of nowhere. Like absolutely nothing. Um this lady and her mom took me in for like what was I there for? Like four
2 months.
4 months and I had nothing. I mean I was going down the narrow way. I had Yeshua and the set apart spirit and the Father and everything. That was everything. I was full on them. I'm showing you what can happen if you start to follow them. People around you just start falling off because the person that was with them is dying. And so they treat you like you've died. And that actually happened to you too. It was like the people around you started acting like you weren't there.
Yeah.
It's weird. And it's hard to explain unless you're there, but we actually listened to a
It's as if you don't matter.
yeah. And when you leave, it's as though you were never there. The weirdest thing.
No one called me
Me
or
neither.
emailed me.
After the little court battle I had, it wasn't anything.
Nothing.
Yeah. So I was homeless for quite a while, 5 months, right? Is that
Yeah,
what?
5, 6 months.
And thanks, to Yeshua that he provided a place for me to live. I had the kids with me, and I tried. A community of ours actually had a house that was donated to our church, and they offered the house for me, and it was across country. So, um, I just had to take over the tax payments, which I was fine with. I packed everything up. I had nothing left, nowhere else to go, and I had the kids ready to go and was out there. And my best friend's husband served me with court orders that I can't leave the kids or I'm kidnapping. And I'm like, oh, well, um, had to fight that for a while. And eventually, the ladies are like, look, we want our house back. Totally understand a bunch of kids there, and you know, they're not their kids, and so anyways, the kids now are with their dad and I went cross country where I had a house. Um, but through all of that, I'm gaining this amazing relationship with Yeshua and reconciling with our Father in heaven. And there's nothing I would do to change that. And this was the direction that he was leading me. And so I was going to go that direction no matter what, even if it meant losing the kids. And that's just what has to happen. You have to be willing to give up everything. And I was. And
It's funny. There's a side story on that, if you don't mind.
no, go for it. I don't remember everything.
Okay, well, it wasn't with exactly yours, but there was another man that Yeshua came to get, and he denied. He said no because of his daughters.
You wouldn't let him go.
He wouldn't let him go. 3 months later, he ended up getting drunk and losing his whole family. That's what happened.
Yeah, and
So,
we're not saying that if you follow him, that's what's going to happen is you're going to lose your wife and kids or your
Yeah, that's
husband
not
and kids.
normally.
That's not normal if you're both looking because the man I was with, he was presented Yeshua. He was offered and he straight up rejected it. And so that's when there was a huge shift of a separation. And he even like verbally declared, "You're not my wife anymore. You're my sister." And I'm like, okay, well, at least you cleared that record up. Okay. Totally fine with that. But it's just amazing how like Yeshua will work out all the legal parts. And I just agree with what he's doing. 100% whatever he wants to do in my life, I'm there. And since like that sounds like some of this sounds like a horrible thing, like, oh, you've lost your kids, but I was not a good mother to them at all. Being in the condition I was in without Yeshua. Nobody is. No one's a good mother, a good dad, nothing. They don't have the ability to even raise kids. It's a whole bunch of kids raising kids. And look at the world today. It's a mess. Um,
Yeah, the more people that reject him, the worse things get.
oh, it's layered rejection. It's horrible. The
Mhm.
world is in a very bad state. And so I'm like, if I'm going to offer anything to them, is I'm going to follow Yeshua. And at least, if they ever came around, that I would be able to share with them what this truth. I did fight for them though, and
Yeah, he did.
months. And the courts, there's court hearings, and I had to stand up for my belief and then fight the whole you're in a cult because you're talking to Yeshua. It's like, oh, and I noticed that's a pattern that when people are turning towards Yeshua, they end up facing courts. Like legal stuff. I've noticed that with some of our other church members that they're just
Temple members. Yeah.
yeah, there's well for others that don't understand the word temple.
All right.
um that you're put on trial in their system for you to make your declaration of faith in front of others. Like, look, I'm a follower of Yeshua and I'm gonna do what he says. Not, if you're commanding me to do anything that goes against that, I'm not gonna obey. That's just that. I'm a follower of Yeshua. And you'll get this presented to you over and over. And I did. And I know you did too, to make your stand. Um, and to stand for what he stands for.
Oh, and then yeah, it was like 6 months of 6 to 8 months of just pure lying, lying about me. Like, I mean, coming up with stories and
Back up, and then you'll have to,
yeah,
but you get stronger, and the whole the persecution is real, and it's not what it look like what you think it would be, where they're off cutting everyone's heads off. I mean, you're getting persecuted by demons around you, and the demons are influencing people around you to. I'll give you an example. We were living in a house, and we don't really even talk to the neighbors too much because they're all like one's a drunk. Actually, two of them are drunks, and it kind of looked like a lot of drama. So we kind of kept to ourselves. One day, the neighbor gets drunk and starts yelling at us and flipping us off, and we're like, "What did we do? Who are you? We don't really know you." And he started, "You're not my friend," and started yelling at us, and then bashes his head on a fire hydrant and still is like swearing at us. And you'll get stuff like this, random attacks
weird stuff. Yeah.
yeah, out of nowhere, and it'll be constant. Because they don't like Yeshua. The demons hate him. They'll use all their minions, all their whoever's listening to them to attack you. That's the persecution you're gonna go under. And it's gonna be different for everybody. Your family will be attacking you. A lot of your family will be attacking you.
A lot of your family will be, yeah. But that's just the thing. They're not your family anymore. That's what that when you finally come to that realization on the narrow way that you're not my family. I don't know you because you change so much when you're following Yeshua
Yeah.
that they won't know you. They'll be able to see you walking down the street, won't even recognize you as to who you are or anything.
Yeah.
It really does happen.
Yep. So back to the testimony, it wasn't shortly after he removed that I am from me that he came into my inner heart. He jumped into my inner heart and he sat down on a chair in my inner heart.
Where the Father was supposed to be. was Yeshua, by the blessing of our Father, has taken his place within you, and then the Father is within him. So he dwells within Yeshua, and then Yeshua dwells within you. So it goes back, and basically, just to put it in layman's terms, you're not so irritating to the Father.
You don't, the smell doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't it's not putrid.
So
Yeah.
you have the tabernacle, and I suggest anyone to do like a small study on that to understand what Yeshua meant saying you are the temple. Your bodies are the temple. So what does that mean? Like our flesh? No. He's talking about the spirit. If you go in the spirit, our bodies are laid out like the temple. You have the outer court, you have the
The
inner court.
tabernacle. Yeah.
Yeah, you have the holy of holies. You have the holy place and then the holy of holies. And the holy of holies is where the pillar of fire and the pillar of smoke would come out in the Old Testament. And that's where the Father was interacting with the high priest. And before the high priest would go into that Holy of Holies, he had to go through a cleansing ritual, right? Well, because there's no more temple, physical temple, um, Yeshua ended that when he was
His blood hit the mercy
was
seat.
yeah, when he was crucified, that old covenant was fulfilled and he created a new one, and our bodies became the dwelling place for our for him, so that we can dwell with the Father. So what that means is he dwells within the inner place of the temple.
Within your heart.
And he said that. We're not saying that. We're not making this up. He said that. And he said to the woman at the well, there will be a time when you will be able to worship nonstop. This is paraphrasing. You will be able to worship no matter where you go. It doesn't matter who you are. And she was amazed at this. Like, how could this be? This
I
is
have to
only
go
for
to
the
a building. Yeah.
this is only for all the Pharisees, and you have to be a Hebrew or a Jew. And he said the time is now. He's telling her, I am here to make that happen so you can worship in truth. What did he say? So you can worship in truth and something. Anyways. Um, so yeah, he took his place in my inner heart, and I have been serving him nonstop since. And there's been covenant and unions, and he just brings you into the oneness, and he reconciles you with your Father in heaven, and you get to know our Father in heaven, and um he goes through like sessions of healing with you so you can get over traumas you've had, and it's amazing what trauma you have had and you don't even realize some of it. Like it's MK Ultra level stuff.
Yeah, you forgot. You've forgotten so
It
many
was
things.
painful to your inner being that you blacked it out. And he blotches that out. He removes that blotch so you can see it, and then he cleans you. It's so beautiful. And through this whole time, like once the separation um with that man happened, and he agreed and I agreed, and then I was going through the cleansing, is Yeshua brought me and James together. And so we've been able to go through this together where when he's going through a cleaning with Yeshua, it affects my cleansing, and then we just like we're playing tennis back and forth and hiking on this path, and um we're getting stronger and stronger in our faith in him and trust in him and healing. We've helped each other heal in so many things. The
It goes on and on. Many,
and
many.
share it all.
Yeah, it's not just all peaches and cream here. There's a lot of arguing. There's a lot of yelling. There's a lot of everything. It's not abusive. It's just this is what you go through, when you're healing.
When you're faced with something that you don't want to face, sometimes the way you react is either like you get your shields up, you get defensive, and we've had to put up with that back and forth with each other where the set apart spirit is using one of us, not as in using, but utilizing our relationship and us being together to help expose a hidden hurt in the other person, and it'll just go back and forth where we help each other heal so that he help each other expose what needs to be healed so Yeshua can heal us. And it hurts. It really does hurt.
Yeah.
It's not like we've gone through times where we're like, why don't we just feel good? Like some of it's like, oh, go to feel the joys of this and that, and we're like, we don't really experience that too much. But when we heal, we get it for a second, but then we're so fixed on being cleansed and him washing us that we don't dwell in that part of it. We just go to the next to be cleansed further and cleansing and cleansing. And so I think we came to that conclusion recently that it's like we want to be like them and close to them so bad
We
that we
won't
don't
stop
stop.
taking a breath,
We don't stop and rest.
nor do we stop taking a bath.
Not, yeah, not rest isn't, he does let us recharge, or he always lets
Yeah.
us recharge. This is consent and free will. You do this on your own desire. Everything's about choice, but we don't desire to sit back and just be. Not here on earth.
You are not here to work a job for 25 years and retire. That is not what you're supposed to do. And this world is not that way. And that's what we're talking about here. You don't take a break.
No. And I mean, he did share with us that some do get saved that don't go very far, that do not go very far down the narrow way, like they meet the minimum requirement of
Agape, I
salvation.
think, yeah.
But they're not as close to him. They'll have him in him, but they're not revealed as much. And so if you're out there and you feel like you're just not growing, just keep seeking, don't stop. It's like a hike you're on. Put your hiking boots on and start, stomping through the mud. Just start walking.
We even asked about Stuart. I asked him about Stuart Best. And I said, what happened to him? I said, why doesn't he told me about what was going on with him. And that was it. He's not that he's not, it's not that he's not saved. He is. He is. He's going to heaven. He just tells me other things about him. I'm not going to share, but what he said about him.
It
But
takes some people longer to heal in certain areas. And I think the difference with James and I is that we decided we wanted to be healed in all things. We wanted to be healed in everything. We wanted to be cleansed. We wanted to be what he died for. And it's not, he didn't die for those I ams. And so every day we strive to not be anything like what that creature created in
he's
man.
not. He did not die for the devil. He did not die for the fallen angels. He came to me one time very quickly, and he just rushed up to me. He says, Keith, you understand? He says he picked us. The Father picked us out of all the
Mhm.
creatures in his universes everywhere. He picked us to be his people.
It's such an honor.
It was a huge, huge honor. And so it's not like you just walk up to the pulpit. Everybody remembers that. Who wants to be saved? Who wants to come to Jesus? And then they're playing the music. The organ music's going on. And then, you just finally say, fine, I'm just going to walk up there. Most people just say, I'll go to him. And when they get there, then you start feeling really good and you start smiling and crying and joy and all these things. I've been through it. Um, and then that's it. No, that's not it.
Starting point.
That's the beginning.
Yeah. Here's the thing though, right? There's John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. The key is belief, and that's what was emphasized in Dark Light is what belief meant. What does believe mean? And actually someone put it recently to where I'm like, yes, that's what it is. When you believe in something, you're willing to die for that something. That's real belief. And so if you really believe in Yeshua, you will die for him. You will die for your brother because he said also, what greater love is there than for someone who will die for their brother?
Yeah. So basically what happens is, on this way as you die, you personally, what you have left are your memories. You have your mind. That is yours. And he cleans your mind. The rest is gone. The rest is Yeshua. So this is what they mean by this is what they mean by that. I know that sounds crazy because it would sound crazy to me, but if I heard it, had not gone through it. So it's one of those things that you have to go through in order to fully understand what he's saying to you. So, and the same thing happened to you.
Yeah.
It's a second witness who went through it and everything else.
And we're still
Every
going through
day.
that sanctification. He's refining us more and more. Um, and it's
And you end up closer and closer to him and closer to him and man, those ties become very strong. You know, demons like to what do you call it? Take on the challenge of trying to get in between you, but it doesn't. In the end, it doesn't work. It doesn't work in the beginning either, but they think it does. In their own head, as they're fighting, they believe themselves winning.
really, really,
They like to lie to themselves.
yeah, there is nothing in this world worth anything besides seeking Yeshua. I'm dead serious. Don't do not want things of this world. It's not worth it. It's all gonna burn.
No one will remember Trump. No one will remember legacies. All those are going to be burned up. There's no such thing as a legacy. It'll all be completely and utterly destroyed. So no one will remember anybody. George Washington, psh, nobody cares. Nobody will care. All those the so-called icons, Shakespeare and all these guys, all that's going to be burned up. So not there.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's I guess the gist of my testimony. There's so much that has happened and you can't even, there's
Oh, be
not
here
enough.
all day. Yeah.
Some of
I did
them,
the same thing. I shortened it.
oh yeah, there's a lot. But every day is getting closer and closer to them. I don't know what else to say there. I really pray that, more people choose him because it's worth it. 100% worth it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. You're not worth saving like yourself. That image you've created of yourself is not worth it. Don't hold on to it. Let it go. And if it feels like you're not moving, ask. Just ask what it is. What is it that I'm not letting go? Would you be willing to show me? And just keep looking for, just seek. Don't be so lazy. Don't let the water get muddy because his water, it flows and it's clean. And so if you feels like you're in a murky water and it's stale, it's not his water. His water is fresh and it quenches your thirst.
The one thing that, guys, I hope that you, and I know this isn't my testimony as far as yours.
Gonna
Yeah.
walking side by side, so that kind of we have been.
Yeah. Okay. So, the first thing I thought was, okay, the son of the father. So you start thinking about it and you're going, okay, is this son going to be one of those brat kids where he wasn't raised right?
Mhm.
That's what you start. These are the things that go through your mind. These are the things that go through your mind when you're going down the narrow way. And I can reassure you that no, the tie with Yeshua is actually more than it is with the Father, and I think the Father wanted that. He wants that with for his son. So, because when you're there by yourself, when you're there in that abyss, in that darkness, and Yeshua opens that door and says, "Okay, are you ready to love yet?" Absolutely, I am. I sat in an abyss for 4 hours, complete darkness. You can't. There's no light, guys. It is darker than dark. There's no light anywhere.
Very-
Yeah. Um, and that's some of the things you go through that abyss when you end up in hell. And that's when people mention there's nothing but darkness. And it's so dark that there's no describing it. And because of that, um, uh, Yeshua comes in. Are you ready to love? He's the only one that's got your back there. He saved you. He suffered for you. He died for you. And this is something that our Father in heaven did for us. Okay. So just realize that he suffered and died for you. He owns you. That's one thing you do realize. When you remember it was weird being owned, right? You never really realized it. Somebody owns you,
Yeah.
like like a car. Okay. You're a product, man.
That
You
I
know,
did go through some battle with that because we're raised into this whole, I'm independent and
no slavery. Nobody
yeah.
owns me. I'm not property. Yeah. Yeah. You're raised in America, and America's very anti Yeshua, the real Yeshua.
And monarchy
Yeah.
is really ramping up. No kings
No kings.
was
Okay.
a
Well,
recent protest.
yeah. Okay.
Guess
So
what?
there is a king, and his name is Yeshua. So
Plot twist.
the guy, so, yeah, just realize that, you do get very close to him. And I have a lot of respect for that man. Like, it's actually my whole being. I do love the Father with all my heart, mind, and being. And guess who helped me do that? That was Yeshua. Okay. He's the one that gave me what he had, what he earned so that I could fulfill that command. And he did the same thing to you.
Yeah.
He gives you everything. So it may sound impossible now, but he does give you the ability to do it through supernatural ways.
Yeah, and through this process too, we noticed a clear difference between men and women in this process, going down the narrow way. Even John Bunyan depicted it different for his wife. Well, there was Christian and then there's Christiana, and the trail was slightly different because women are the weaker vessel, right? Um, there was things I had to go through that were different than what he had to go through in the cleansing process and submission. Women nowadays are a bunch of liberals. Whether you think you are or not, you were raised a liberal. Um, and you were raised to manipulate men with sex. Even if you think you don't, you do. Every woman does. If you get defensive when I say that, then you might want to dwell on that a little bit longer and really look at what manipulation is. Because
Think you're
all
touching some nerves there.
women manipulate with sex. They manipulate men. So if you're a woman and you're approaching Yeshua, that's gonna come out. And it may not come out in a very pretty way. So you're going to have to face all those things. As you approach him, they're going to observe what you're going to try to do with Yeshua. Are you going to try to manipulate him sexually in order to get towards his throne? That's all going to come out. And you have to think about that. And with men, what was it more of taking his throne? Like,
Oh
are you
yeah,
going to
yeah,
take his
yeah.
throne?
Are you going to try to do that? Oh yeah, oh, absolutely, yes. And they even asked me that. I remember them asking me that. Me when I say they or them, the Father set apart, the Yeshua and the set apart Spirit. They asked me this, and what I said was, no, I want him there. I really do. I want him on his throne. I want the set apart Spirit there. I want you, Father, on your throne. Otherwise, I know because when I went, I started going down that road. Number one, what do I know? Which is nothing.
Yeah.
And number two, what am I going to do? I was going to set the Bible down because they said, come to us as children. What am I going to do?
Quote him.
Yeah, quote him scripture here.
Memory
Yeah.
verses like kids.
Yeah. What am I going to do with that? And then, I realized you're nothing. You're nothing without him. You are literally nothing without Yeshua. Just as the Israelites were nothing without the Father. Moses was nothing without the Father at that time. And you have to realize, okay, that you're nothing without him. And once you get through that, a new form of respect that you have for Yeshua. And it's a really awesome relationship to be in.
Yeah.
I'm thankful every single day. I feel like I'm the richest man in the world, because of that relationship that I have with him. Um, It's awesome. I just sit and watch it. He's a very, very good friend, and he's got your back. When no one else does, he's got your back.
Yeah, and like going back to the male and female thing, it's the relationship is going to be different because of immorality here on Earth. Um, because that's there, like when I was going through part of my process was separating with the old. Once all that legality was there, Yeshua brought me and James together. Like pretty quickly, we became really close friends, and we were all narrow way. I mean, it was the focus, and it still is. Like that's all I've ever known you with is narrow way. But as a woman, I learned my place in the kingdom. And we're not taught that here on earth. Like, I can't just, walk into Yeshua's throne room and be like, hi, I'm here. And I'm not, there's a place in the inner heart where he always is, but then there's this working place where he works. He's around, and there's, when it comes to structure and business and stuff, women need to go through men. There has to be a covering there. And I do understand Yeshua does cover you, but there still is a hierarchy in heaven. Women don't just walk around and walk into a men's club and say, equal rights. It's not like that. So,
There's no protest, guys.
no, there isn't. And what happened in the garden is not going to happen again. So, in order for that not to happen, women are there. You're equal to men, but not in the sense of equal rights. There's no such thing as equal rights. Men do things, women do things. It's apples and oranges.
It's based on your creation, how you were made.
Yeah, you don't, ask a cat to be a dog. And they don't fight for who does what. They do their own thing. So if you're a woman and you're going down the narrow way, there's going to be a lot of addressing that in trying to approach Yeshua as though he's another man on earth, or trying to manipulate him like a Jezebel. That's not going to work. And so I'm really thankful that he brought us together so that, you really helped me sort that out, that part, and that I was able to submit to a man and heal that part, because you can't submit to a worldly man. It is impossible. There's no way. And it's actually Yeshua I'm submitting to, not James himself. It just that falls into line. People try to do that in reverse, where they work out their relationship or their marriage first without going to Yeshua, and they can't do it. We all serve Yeshua, and he brings people together, and
It all has to come through him.
yeah, self-help book, marriage help, Christian book, whatever. It starts with him. You go to him, and he'll sort all that out.
We know this will be bad for book sales, but
Well, we could write a book on it.
yeah, that's it. That's what we'll do.
But yeah, no, he and part of, I guess, part of our testimony is that he legally wed us, and he sorts out all the legality. Like first, everything was detached of our old lives. And James already shared his where he was separated from his household. I was separated from my household. And he works out all the legality first, and then moves forward and brings people together.
And we did not steal any house.
No, there's no house
We
there.
did not steal from anybody's, what is it, their so-called account in the Federal Reserve,
So
their credit account, all that kind of junk. That all came out when we were going down the narrow way. That's just
you
what
get
happened.
accused and accused and accused. And the more you hear real testimonies on YouTube about people turning to Yeshua, as their whole community turns on them.
Every one of them.
Their families, everything. I mean, I'll link in the bottom of this video this Mennonite couple. Their community freaking
Get rid of them.
shunned them because they started reading about Jesus, and they felt the set apart spirit in a move. Oh, they're just wicked to the core for doing that. It's horrible. But anyway, so that is what happens. And that ex-Satanist recently, he had the same thing.
It was a good one. That was a really good ex-Satanist. I really believed him.
Oh
I have a
yeah,
hard time believing a lot of them, but this one I do.
Linenite Railroad.
Yeah,
Railroad Linen.
because he likes linen. They call them Leninites. They started calling them Leninites, and they give it away all the time. So they get all this stuff, and Here he's having to move 200 times, but he can still afford a bunch of linen, you know?
Well, the Lord provides,
Yeah.
and He really does. So I know this is getting long, but when you start looking for Him, it's gonna appear like you're losing everything and that you're not gonna be able to make it, but He sustains you. And when we're in our lowest times, it could be financially or, it seems like there's no hope. He just provides out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You really don't have to worry about the clothes you wear here because He provides you. And we work on that strength and that faith every day
Yeah, that has worked on a lot.
in different areas that we rely on Him, we serve Him, and He worries about all the other, which is really for Him, it's a simple word and it's done. But anyways, if that wasn't too long.
No, we're good. I do appreciate everybody tuning in. We do appreciate all the support that we've had from those guys that decided to, and very much appreciated. And we will do our best to help as many people as we can, point you towards that direction. Some people, they really don't like the truth, so they will get angry or attack or feel judged. But that's okay. That's part of it. It's part of the whole deal. You're growing up, so that is what it is. So for now, this concludes the testimony of Sarah of the House of Faith. So anything else?
Hmm.
Nothing else. Okay. See you next time.